Hi, and thanks for checking out my review of the new sequel Kingsman: The Golden Circle. It's a decent film, but a definite step down from the first. Matthew Vaughn, the director of the original Kingsman, as well as other comic book adaptations like Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class, comes back. He brings the same fun, humorous tone that was so great about the first Kingsman, as well as plenty of stylish action. However, this doesn't improve in any way on the original, and doesn't quite have that same magic. There weren't a whole lot of glaring flaws or negative aspects to The Golden Circle, but there were no amazingly memorable sequences either. It just doesn't have the creativity and originality of the first one. One thing I did have an issue with was the noticeable use of CGI, especially in multiple action scenes where it was abundantly clear that a real camera wasn't being used. Overall, though, the action was pretty good, but none of it stood out as particularly mind-blowing. I also had an issue with the motivations of the villain, played by Julianne Moore. She's a drug cartel leader that demands that the US government make all drugs legal, but if this happened, she would stand to lose tons of money as an illicit drug dealer. A huge reason why drugs are so lucrative is that they are sold in the black market. Maybe there's something I'm not thinking of here, but this really didn't make sense to me. However, I did think the motivations of the other primary antagonist were quite compelling, even though they were only quickly described in a few sentences. For some reason, Elton John has a sizable role in the Golden Circle as himself. This isn't just a quick cameo, as he is in multiple scenes and is actually slightly relevant to the plot. He was kind of amusing, but I found these parts to be ridiculous and pretty stupid. It really didn't fit in with the rest of the movie and took me right out of it. The other performances were generally all as good as they needed to be, as no one is really asked to do any intense acting. The cast is full of great actors, but some of them don't have much to do, like Jeff Bridges and Channing Tatum. Julianne Moore is a bit over the top and silly, but wasn't anywhere close to terrible. The standout was probably Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones, and he's the center of some inventive fight scenes. The second Kingsman is a little long at 2 hours and 21 minutes, and while I was never bored, I do feel like a movie like this doesn't need to be quite that long, and there are definitely a few scenes that could have been trimmed. If you really like the first Kingsman, I definitely recommend checking this out in theaters, but otherwise you can wait till it comes out on home video if you don't feel a strong desire to rush out and see it. I give it a 7 out of 10 as it's entertaining, but is lacking that extra something to make it a must-watch. The critics also seem to not be too impressed with The Golden Circle, and right now it only has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. It opened at number 1 at the box office, making $39 million in its opening weekend, a slight improvement over the first's $36 million opening. Worldwide to date, it has made over $116 million. These numbers aren't anything shocking, but are enough to consider the film a success at about the same level as the original Kingsman, so 20th Century Fox will probably go ahead with a third installment. That's it for this one. Thanks for listening.